Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Beyond the Horizon podcast. I'm so excited to dive in. Mr. Richard Eggers, videographer, photographer, personal friend, employee, contractor, man behind the lens for every single episode that we've launched so far, and almost anything that you have seen produced that has me, my brother Chris, or anything policy engineer. This guy's hands has been on it, and it is a treat and a complete impromptu opportunity to sit down, to chat, and get into the brain and talk about Beyond the Horizon of the guy who's trying to help us get this message out. Good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like you said, a little impromptu, but happy to do it.
Yeah, no, this is rad. How does it feel to just be on this end compared to always being behind the lens?
I feel okay. I've done a small podcast on my own before, so I enjoy the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
This part of it kind of makes me forget that there's a camera here.
Right.
All these lights set up, but I do try to stay behind it because that's just where I feel comfortable.
Right. Like you're constantly trying to make people look and sound maybe better than they actually do in
right.
real life, right?
So I'm actively doing that right now with myself. I'm like, do I sound good? Do you sound good? Is everything in focus? Recording?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm thinking about it constantly, but
yeah. So why do you think it is that you feel more comfortable behind the lens, propping up other people or promoting whatever they're working on than being in it yourself?
How deep do you want me to go into?
As deep as you want to go, man.
I think that, so to give you some background on why I even have a camera in my hands, my dad was the dad with the video camera all the time, vacations, parties, family stuff, whatever. He was always
not like this,
like
right?
yeah,
like
big
shoulders, right?
over the eye,
Yeah.
90s dad, very recording everything, and I saw that growing up, and I started kind of imitating that, and I found an interest in recording things early on. I don't know that it's, and I say deep because maybe there is a self-conscious part of me that I think like I'm not pretty enough to be on camera, but more so I like the,
I'll go with handsome.
sure, handsome, yeah.
You look,
I don't feel handsome enough to be in front of the camera, but no, I think I like the idea of staging something, and as a young kid, and then through high school and filming a lot of skateboarding and stuff, and just being a part of the process, right? You're recording memories, you're recording a moment with your friends or whatever, and you have that forever now. You get to look back at it, and having that library of stuff has always held a special place in my heart, probably because of having all those home movies and seeing my dad do it. So
do you get into those home movies like on a regular basis and watch
my home movies?
Yeah.
I actually don't. They make me pretty emotional.
Yeah.
Even as a younger person, seeing myself as a kid, like that wouldn't make me emotional. Not that I avoid them, but
well, they're less convenient, right? They're on VHS.
That
probably.
too, yeah. The media is a little bit harder to get to.
Right.
But I still have them. We have a ton, yeah. DVD, yeah, my dad burned all the VHS to DVDs and stuff like that, so, which he got from his dad. Actually, I learned as I got older too. My grandpa, even older cameras, right? Super 8, little reel-to-reel, like film cameras on their family vacations and stuff. So it's kind of always been a part of the fathers in my family.
Yeah. What do you think is you're talking about these Super 8 cameras and stuff. Is there a significant difference in how you go about capturing a moment when you can instantly look at it, like on a cell phone or on your SLR, and so you could see feedback instantly, like what's going on, versus back then it's like you get what you got, right? Like you can't see this stuff for
you're not
days or weeks.
There's definitely no instant gratification with it. I think it does make you take a step back a little bit. When I first started taking photos, I learned on film cameras, 35 millimeter cameras. So I had this foundation, and like you're paying for every single photo. So really think about what you're going to take a picture of. And it's only gotten more expensive. Back, when everything was film, it was much more affordable, I think, and accessible, and to get, things returned to you. But
now you have to go to like a professional Photoshop to get these things developed, versus you used to be able to like throw them into the little booth in the parking lots all over the place.
Yeah.
I remember those days.
CVS, Costco, Big Play, Walmart, everywhere did it. But now, it is labs that specialize in those things, cost a lot more. And, shooting film. I think now shooting film, you really have to think more about it. I don't know that my grandpa was too worried about, let me angle this right. It was more just, it was kind of like a purity of just capturing memories and stuff, which was, it is cool to think about. I think that everyone should experience, if you're into photo and video stuff, experience film to some degree.
My extent of film experience would be going to summer camp. My mom would always get like a few of those disposable cameras, like the Kodak little wind-em ones, I'd get like a waterproof one sometimes with the case on it. And I'm like, all right, I have, what do those things have, like 24 pictures on them or 30?
Yeah, maybe like 30 something, yeah.
So you're like, okay, maybe I have like 100 photos tops. And then like your friend would like snap a picture in the out of the water with the water one. You're like, no, dude, I only have this many.
That's all for fish. You can't take photos of.
Yeah, we're in San Onofre. It's all seaweedy and foggy water. You can't even take a picture of anything in the water. It's all like clarity's like 3 inches. But, but anyway, I know that there is a different sense. I was just curious, as like a professional photographer, videographer, if you look at that as a.
Yeah, I mean, there's an emotion to it. There's a feel. Film has this feel. I think that a lot of people are after with digital to try to make everything look and feel like film.
We have like 98 filters on Instagram and all that.
Right. Yeah, like it's interesting. Like the better quality cameras get, the more people are trying to downgrade the quality to look like film a little bit. Make it more grainy, add softness to it, like kind of unsharpen what everyone's doing with. It's interesting. And I don't know why film just has a feel to it that people are after, nostalgia and all this stuff. And it's interesting.
That's cool. So was your dad making money filming and stuff the way you do, or was he just doing it for fun?
He worked for McDonnell Douglas turned Boeing.
Okay.
For a long time. He was in like graphic design pretty much. So
still creative though.
Yeah, he was pretty good with like Photoshop and stuff. So anytime I had projects for school that required any bit of digital design stuff, he would help out, and I would look like that kid who was like, oh my God, he knows Photoshop. And I was like, yeah. But yeah, that was his. No, I think it was more just a dad recording things. My grandpa was a little bit more on the artsy side, which is interesting because my grandpa was like Korea war vet, very stern, quiet, but he had this like artsy side to him where he would like time lapse like flowers and stuff, and interesting, yeah.
That like hidden softer side.
A little bit, like yeah.
Yeah, well, it's Veterans Day today that we're recording this.
Yeah.
Shout out to
all the troops.
To him and all the other veterans out there.
Kind of appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you ever want to follow into those footsteps? Like military
serving? No, I remember when I turned 18, you have to sign up for selective service, I believe it's called, right? Which is basically like if there is a draft, you get called drafted, out. Right? That was the closest in my mind I had thought like this might be a reality, because you never know what's going to happen. But I never really sought after military life, and that's it. I had plenty of friends who did, though.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I never did either, and I think there's combinations of reasons maybe why, but there was something about going, like a good friend of mine graduated boot camp, Camp Pendleton. I went down there, watched the graduation, and I was completely just like to the core in awe of this whole group of all these men and women just in formation, in uniform. Like you can hear the boots stomping and the turns like in the concrete and everything, and what they're doing. And then he went off to Afghanistan, I think is where he was at. And And so anyway, when all that was going on, there's this kind of a pull where you're like, dude, I want to be part of something like that.
Right.
And then at the same time, I didn't totally feel the call for whatever reason, be like, I must go and do this whole thing.
I think that all comes from the home that you're into. Like, had my dad served, maybe I would have wanted to serve or something like that, or, you know, whatever reason people decide to join. But yeah, I mean, I think it is cool. Like I said, I also had friends who joined and stuff like that. And there's a bit of emotion to it. I mean, kind of talking about creating memories and stuff like that with people. Like, I do get pretty emotional at graduation ceremonies.
Really?
Just seeing that, like, seeing someone accomplish something, people you love and care about, like, accomplish a goal, make it to the end, even if it's, you know, your nephew's 8th grade thing. It's cool. Like, celebrating people to me is a very big part of my life. And maybe that's why I do it. I'm trying to celebrate someone, something in some way, you know, and I do that through a camera. Yeah.
That's cool. 'Cause I think that I naturally tend to want to be the guy in front or in control sometimes.
Celebrated.
Maybe celebrated. I think sometimes that's awesome and I totally appreciate it. Sometimes it can be difficult to accept and be like, okay, cool, like this is great, but I didn't do it for this, but I'm appreciative of it, type of thing.
You receive compliments well?
I think I receive compliments better than most do. At least outwardly. Sometimes in my head, I'm like, about it, I'm like, okay, how do I receive this right now? Like, I do appreciate it, but it feels awkward or whatever, right? And then you're like, thanks so much. You know, you just go into it, whatever. But I know that.
Like, how humble am I supposed to be right now to, like...
Yeah, sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, I know you're thanking me. I did it. You
right.
know, like, I don't want to be like
you
want
to be proud, but you're also, like, checking every move you make. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but with that said, I think there's a natural thought until I ask that, well, you're behind the lens because you don't want to be in front of the lens, you're not in front of the lens because you want to be behind the lens. That makes sense? You're not running from not being in front of it. You're running behind it because that's actually where you want to be to accomplish your vision or goal. Yeah,
because I definitely don't avoid the spotlight. I will say that I was just talking to someone about this, having been involved in as many of my friends' weddings the way I have, I've ordained a few groomsmen.
I don't know if you ordained them.
Sorry,
you officiated.
Officiated, correct.
Okay.
I'm ordained to officiate.
Right. Okay.
You know, as many as I have, best man, groomsmen, like having the fortune to be that involved in many of my friends' weddings, like, I will stand up in front of a crowd of people and share my thoughts, share my feelings. You know, we had a friend of ours pass away, we grew up with, passed away in 2019, had no intention of saying any words. It was a huge, huge ceremony. And something in me just said, get up and say something. Because that was our boy, that was our guy, you know, and I don't know. It was mostly family and stuff like that. And I was like, to me in that moment, I felt, if I can, and I'm allowed to speak, not just for myself, but all of us that we grew up with, I have to say something, you know? So I don't mind, like, not shy to be in front of people in the camera and stuff, but I much, rather would have been able to take a picture of that moment, you know?
Yeah. So when you hear that little voice inside, is it easy for you to follow it, or do you struggle when you hear that?
I think I've gotten better at just trusting my gut. When I was younger, it was much more of a discussion. Like, if I had that urge to do it, you talking about, like, stepping into something that's a little uncomfortable?
I guess, like you said, you heard this voice that said, like, you were supposed to say something. I think that voice happens often, either telling you you're supposed to or telling you stop doing something. But it's easy to hear it. It's hard to listen to it.
No, I think if I'm hearing the voice, I'm already confident enough that I'm gonna say it.
Mhm.
Like the urge or the
You don't wrestle with it. You go when you hear it. Like you trust
yeah,
your
I
own
listen to it.
intuition
Yeah,
enough.
for sure.
Right.
And that's something that definitely get that from my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I know she's the type of person to where, like, if she has half a thought,
Mm-hmm.
she's gonna follow through with it. She'll figure it out along the way.
Right.
She's just like shoot first, ask questions last type of person. So it might be a little bit of that.
Act now and what is it? Act now and ask for forgiveness later.
Don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. Yeah, for sure. Because you never know. Yeah, I mean, I was a pretty shy kid growing up. I was an only child, so I didn't have a lot of platform as a kid to seek a spotlight like that. I wasn't like battling for attention by any means, It was always just like I was given the attention I was given, but it was very shy.
Mm-hmm.
And the older I got, the more I was like, it's not going to hurt me, it's not going to kill me to say what I think needs to be said in that moment.
Well, I think that's a good trait to have. I think more people probably struggle with listening to the voice. It probably depends on in what like forum is it being said or presented, right?
And if it's helpful to people, right? Like people have that urge and it's not necessarily the most positive message or situation to do that,
Right. So let's get back to talking about photography, videography, all that stuff, right? I mean, that's where you and I have spent the most time is around projects for policy engineer, asset engineer, agency engineer, Beyond the Horizon, all these projects that we're working on. But how did you get here? I think that this is my perception. I think that there are many people out there who want to do what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a space for it that is still growing, especially in non-creative environments. Like we're an insurance financial services agency. Traditionally, this is a non-creative, very sales, very administrative, like business.
Right.
And there are more and more businesses following suit.
Right.
So let's talk about how did you get here? Because I know some of your background, but I want to try to like unpackage it a little bit. So you're a little kid, you have a camera in your hand all the time because dad had a camera in his hand all the time. That doesn't always turn into your business.
Right.
It was a hobby for your dad. It is your line of work.
Yeah, how it's turned. I mean, I knew leaving high school and going into higher education, I did community college and only ever wanted to transfer to a university if it was film related. I wanted to make movies to some degree.
Okay.
I wanted to work on cameras, sit on a set, do something. Like that was the dream. That was the goal. And I went to Cal State Long Beach and I actually ended up going through the, what do they call it? Creative nonfiction, specialization. Because you have to pick one. What do you want to do? You want to write, direct, set design. And I chose creative nonfiction, essentially just documentary. So pretty new to the program because at Cal State Long Beach, they have a great film program, but it's a small pocket of the school. And the documentary was an even smaller pocket in that. So it was like 16 people in our class.
Oh, wow.
And we were the only ones doing it. But you kind of learn everything. They make you learn cameras, editing, sound, writing treatments, how you produce, how you would direct, like all aspects of documentary. And I kind of fell in love with it. And that's more where my focus went. I didn't want to be the Steven Spielberg. I learned that I didn't want to be the director, producer, being in charge of like budgets and stuff. I was better specialized in just filming and editing. And how I turned it into this, and I just used that. I kept all the skills that I had prior. I learned during, and kept working on after Cal State Long Beach to just keep doing it, keep freelancing. I mean, it's taken many different forms as far as photographing musicians, working with small businesses, trying to promote their businesses, and just kind of trying to keep my foot in any door that was open around me. A lot of freelance stuff. After that, and just prior to working with you guys, I was actually working with my family business doing the assisted living. So that was kind of like the keep me afloat job to free me up to do the creative stuff that I wanted to do.
Right. And in that job, you weren't doing a lot of creative for that, right?
No, I was too involved in that world, and that could be a whole conversation. It kind of relates to what we do here.
Yeah.
But no, that was mainly just lots of work, lots of attention to the business and the house, and taking care of the clients we had there. But it did give me a lot of freedom to have creative ventures. You know, I could take kind of my time if I needed to go somewhere for, you know, I did a small leg of a West Coast tour with a band, a friend's band, for like a couple weeks or whatever. Like, I could do those things and kind of just kind of find my way.
Is that because it was a family business? So you kind of, that agreement going in was like,
I could give the heads up, and, you know, it was okay to dip out for X amount of time or whatever.
Yeah. So, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and then once I kind of wrapped up business at the family business and that house, was right around the time you guys reached out and you said you were looking for. We had actually talked, I think, like a year prior. Mm-hmm. At some point, we had a conversation about you were looking for media, but it wasn't quite, it was full-time. It was kind of like project to project. You were like looking for it.
Yeah.
And then some time went on, and then you guys had reached out again and say, hey, we're ready to scale. You know, we need a media guy for marketing. And then, we started doing that.
There you were. So before we go deeper into that, go back to this small business. I know it was pretty crazy when I found out that you had experience in that, because I'm like, whoa, that's not a lot of people who are going to be good at the creative behind the camera, the editing, and have actually an understanding for one of the categories that we insure. Mm-hmm. So go back to that business a little bit. Like it was a board and care, right?
Yeah, it was long-term care. I think they don't use the term board and care anymore, but yeah, essentially that. It was a residential assisted living. And I say residential because it was a max 6-bed facility in a home.
Right. So this is a house in a regular neighborhood that gets retrofitted how it needs to be. And it's got 6 beds, up to 6 beds.
Maximum 6 beds.
And people live there full time, right? And then there is staff 24 hours a day there who can assist and is capable of administering medicine and doing all that, right? And
it's, the interesting thing with it is long-term care. So the idea is that, you know, it's not respite care. It's not, it's another word I'm not remembering, but it's not a month at a time. It's like these people.
It's like skilled nursing care is like shorter.
It's not quite skilled. Yeah, similar. Mm-hmm. It's not skilled nursing because staff don't have to be nurses to work there.
This is custodial care. Right?
Sure,
helping with bathing, dressing, toileting, incontinence.
Helping with ADLs or activities of daily living. It's essentially that, right? So it's, you know, we have people live in the home that have been there for a year, 2 years, 5 years, almost 10 years, you know, depending on where they're at in their life. But that's the house that I was raised in. Was my mom started this business. She did it for 30 years. About the time I was born, she started this business of elder care, assisted living, and elder care.
Inside the house?
Inside the house we were living at.
So you were living in it and there were patients in it, or you guys had moved in the house?
No, the house that I had, homes that I grew up in, at some point have always had 5 or 6 older ladies, sometimes men, mostly ladies, they tend to live longer, living in the house that we live in.
Yeah, that part I did not know.
Yeah.
I thought these were
separate.
Yeah, when you told me before that this is the house I grew up in, I thought like I grew up in that house, then we moved, and then we kept that house, and instead of turning it into like a rental property, we turned it into this.
No, it was our home, and we lived in the house that we were caring for the ladies for.
So was it set up like, did you call like top bunk, and then there was like somebody like sleeping underneath, and you're like, I got top bunk tonight?
No, it's funny because I don't, as a kid, you don't really think, it's not strange to you, right? Mm-hmm. It's not any different. My mom's sister, my aunt, also ran a house where my cousins lived in that house. in the house that they were caring for people. So if I wasn't at our house, I was at their house. It was the same thing to me. It was very normal for me.
Right.
I didn't think it was abnormal until I got into school and people were like, they live here? Like the ladies live in this house that you, and I was like, yeah.
Like when a friend would come over?
Yeah.
Okay.
It would like exactly your reaction. They would be like, so what do you do for dinner? I was like, yeah, sometimes we eat together. Sometimes we don't. I don't know. It's kind of like, it felt like Hey Arnold kind of.
Okay.
Where he's living in like, what's it called? Like a B&B type of home.
What is it? I remember the show, but I don't.
Yeah, he's living with his grandparents, and they rent out all the rooms. So all these people, all these strangers he lives around, all live in the same house that they're in. It's similar to that, except
they don't
just
come
older.
and go
they
don't come and go on their own. They come and go because they've passed away, probably.
Yeah,
in your case.
But yeah,
wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah, so that was a very normal life for me. Was growing up around long-term care, caring for people, and I honestly never thought I would work in it and do it. I had chose to do it because my mom got to a point where it seemed like her heart wasn't as strongly in it, and I didn't want to see all of this hard work that she put into her business go for nothing. And I said, okay, let me get all the certifications to be your administrator, and I'll help you carry the load a little bit. So you take all these classes for X amount of time, you get certified, all this training, everything that you need to do. So if she needs to take some time off, I can be there and watch the house. And it kind of turned into, let me help out a little bit to, I did it for 5 years or something like that.
Right.
And then COVID hit, and it was just me and her for pretty much a couple years after that. We scaled down to kind of just us, and it was a wild time.
How was that experience, just you and her? Like, did you feel like it? I'm gonna throw some things out there. I'm sure that you got to know her even better in some capacity. I'm sure you got more frustrated with her on some level in some capacity, right? I'm sure she felt the same way. It was like sometimes you had the greatest moments, celebrations, right? It's like all of these things probably happen at new levels.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, 100%. I think working with family especially, it becomes not difficult to navigate business, but you learn new things about them, like you said, that how they do business, how the way they go about certain things in the business, and you have to find a balance of, I'm here to help. Okay, I need to carry this load. You need to carry this load a little bit. We need to it's that constant ebb and flow of professionalism. Excuse me, that gets a little bit tough because I also grew up with her, and separating the I don't want to listen to you because you're my mom, but also I work with you and for you and all these things. Like it's a weird little microcosm to be in. But we did learn a lot, and I think we did the best that we could. We got through it the best that we could with what we had. And, you're dealing with so many different types of personalities. You're not only, you're caring for these ladies who have so much life behind them and so much experience that they need all this help, and you're caring for them. You're helping with the family's transition and what it's like to watch their mother or father come into this state of needing so much help. It's hard for them. They have a hard time with it. They might have been giving them a lot of the care, and then they transfer. It's usually what happens is family will take care of them. They realize how much work it is, and they try to find a home like ours.
Right.
Nurses, doctors, therapists, all these different things that, professional people that a lot of the time, my mom had no problem telling a doctor that they were wrong, or a nurse that she was wrong, or that someone that, no, this lady doesn't need this medication. She needs to walk around the neighborhood more or something. You know what I mean? Like the idea is you promote as much independence and get them to a healthy state of mind and, physical state that, there's a lot of interesting dynamics.
Was it harder to deal with,
excuse me,
with the patients or their families?
Families, 100%.
Yeah.
I'd say generously, I can say that 90% of the time it's harder to deal with the families than it is the actual people living in assisted livings, and in our experience. Because a lot of the time they're just, unless it's a special case where the lady has some sort of dementia, Alzheimer's, it's kind of aggressive, confusion, all these things, coming into this new home that's when it can get a little difficult with them.
Yeah.
But I would say families, because it's their parent. It's someone they've known their entire life, and they rightly so feel that they know what's best for them. But this is a whole new version of their parent that they've never seen, that we're also learning. And then when you see them and spend time with them every day, you have a new relationship with them. They trust you in different ways, and yeah, it can be hard for the families to kind of see that, we become an extension of that family sometimes. And, yeah, it's a lot.
How about from a financial standpoint? Like most people listening to this don't know how much care costs. And I know there's different degrees of it and all that stuff, but you guys ever have to deal with someone who's like running out of money or negotiating to not pay the same? And like the business side of it has got to be like, you can't lay your heart out on the table on that side of things, right? Like you got to pay the bills and these people got to pay. And like, I'm sure there's some scenarios there where you're like, we got to pay up or we got to move them out.
For sure. Yeah. That was one of the not harder parts, but more interesting parts to navigate. That when I started helping my mom, and if I could be fully transparent about how she was running things, you try to find people who when you interview them and meet the families and all these things, you can't directly ask, where is your money going to come from? But you can get a gauge of like, why is mom living at home? Okay, well, she had a home that she sold all these things, blah, blah, blah. How is the family dealing with the finances? Like you kind of have to see, without asking them, you have to see, do they seem financially savvy enough to navigate putting mom through this care?
Can you ask them if they have insurance?
We didn't really, a lot of the time, if it was done through insurance, it wasn't within their budget. It didn't cover enough.
You can ask though, like, do you have long-term care insurance? Like if they do, you would want that as the primary payment, right?
Right. If they had, but like we almost didn't seek people who had that a lot of the time. It also wasn't as common, I think, as I've come to know that it is with you guys.
Well, I think that if you think about it, you can't buy insurance when you need insurance.
Right.
You've got to be healthy. So we're currently placing long-term care insurance in households where these folks are 60 to maybe 70 on the older end of the spectrum, right? Maybe a little younger, not often older, because it gets really expensive and really hard to get approved. But the average age somebody needs care that I've seen is going to be like their mid-80s. So you got to like rewind time. The people you were caring for 3-4 years ago, 5 years, how long ago was it?
I would say 3
years ago. If they're 82 when they come in, then they would have been buying it or being presented to buy it at an affordable range 15 to 20 years prior to when you saw them.
Right. 2010-ish, say.
Right, which the whole industry has made a huge shift even since then. And in 2010, that type of insurance might have only been 10 to 12 years in existence, really. Before that, like things had evolved. The houses where you had all these families and people being cared for were like one multi-generational household of people. Right. So anyway, there will be more and more people that have insurance in the coming decades than did before.
And that's good. I think to be honest, like I don't know that we dealt with many people who even might have known that was a thing, that long-term care insurance was available or was a product. But you're right. By then, it's a little too late. It's not like they're going to get it.
They needed it when they're healthy.
But yeah, in more of the financial side of that business, that was a discussion I had to have with my mom too, because she was stuck in ways. The industry kind of shifted very quickly. It seemed like, where growing up, or I'll say when I started working with her, a room in her home, which would mean, let's say a private room with a bathroom, it's your own room, your own bathroom in her home, probably around $3,000, $3,500 maybe. When I had taken all this training to become her administrator, we were learning that no one was doing anything less than like 5 or 6. So she was a little bit behind in that way.
I mean, that's like a lot behind.
Yeah. And, you know, that's maybe out of the goodness of her heart, not wanting to jack prices up, you know, appropriately to follow inflation and all that stuff. And having people in the house, she was so good at her job that they would stay in her home for so long. And it's like, she knows where their budgets are and maybe didn't want to say, you know, hey, next year it's an extra $1,000 a month, or you know what I mean, whatever the situations were. But that was a hard push that I had to make for her and kind of show her and remind her, like, she had a beautiful home in Huntington Beach, near Huntington Harbor, in a great neighborhood, in one of the best places in California. I had all these things going for her, and showed her other properties that, you know, other residential assisted livings that was like, you can up your prices, and we should, and we can't, you know. And I think by the time we finished up, we were at about $6,500 a room, somewhere in there. And that, I think she also had a hard time just putting that number on those rooms and stuff like that, because it had been, you know, she had a shared bedroom, you know, 2 ladies in one room, no bathroom, let's say, in that room. You know, it was like $1,750 or something like that. You know, when I first started, and by the time I left, it was like closer to $3,000 or $3,500. You know, and just I had to very quickly tell her, like, okay, we're transitioning a lady out of the house, new lady, clean the room, turn it over. This is the price for the room. And each time I would try to push her to.
Now, just to use this as an opportunity, just to give some context, right? Like, a couple things I'll share on this. One is that, to give you a scope of care, if you hire someone in home to provide care at your house who's registered and bonded and insured and all the liabilities off you, and this is a professional caregiving company, you're paying $35 an hour in Southern California. That starts to add up relatively quickly. So you go into an assisted living facility, like a place that has like 100 rooms, like an apartment complex assisted living facility, you're probably paying maybe a little less than what he's describing, but more than what you probably pay for in-home care. Then there, you're in a house with a small group of people. It's more intimate than a big assisted living facility. You're paying the numbers he's talking about, which is putting you at $72,000 or more a year if you want a private room. If you want a private room nursing home where you have nice facility and they're bringing you all your meals and they're taking care of you and they have nurses on staff and they have non-medical on staff and everything, you're probably looking at $10,000 a month or more in Southern California. So look, if you don't know about long-term care planning, the impact, how you strategize for it, I don't think everybody needs insurance, but nobody should go without a plan. Visit policyengineer.com, request some information from us about long-term care planning, the guide to insurance, set up a meeting, have a conversation. Like, don't let some of these things he's saying enter your mind and intrigue you or make you wonder, or if you have that aha, where you're like, wow, that's way more expensive than I thought. That means that it's going to be more impactful to your retirement than you thought. It's going to leave someone financially in shambles way more than you thought. And it's going to be way harder to navigate than you thought if you cross the bridge when you get there. So highly encourage you. Policy Engineer is the #1 sponsor of this podcast. Check them out. And that's my commercial for this episode. But
yes, sir.
Anyway, so you're doing all that. That is why it was so unique that you have creativity, editing, lighting, you know, all of these things. And then you come in to work directly with an insurance brokerage where one of our main product lines and services is helping people with that, because you actually understand when I talk about ADLs or this, like, it wasn't foreign. So
Yeah.
I think it was a good fit, and you also saw the financial impacts. You're like, cool, I get what these guys are trying to do. They're not just trying to sell product. They're trying to help people solve this problem that I lived in through the products that they sell.
Right.
Did
Yeah.
you feel that? Like when you came-
100%. And because when I started with you guys, or I should say better, my entire life under that roof was seeing life at that final stage. You know, this is kind of the last step for a lot of people where you see whether or not the decisions they've made in their life allow them to get the care that they need to live a comfortable last couple years, right? We did do a lot of end of life care. So I got to see a lot of people basically finish their lives off, for
Right.
lack of a better word, right?
Like literally watch their last breath? Were you like there and
Yeah.
saw that
Yeah.
often?
I've watched a handful of ladies take their last breath and be there and go through hospice care and have families come over and do, you know, all these final wishes and final arrangements. I'm no stranger to watching strangers, I guess, people who aren't family,
Mhm.
you know, finish their lives. And again, like very normal to me.
Right. From
'Cause-
a young age, right?
yeah, since I was born.
Right.
Yeah. You know, knowing these ladies who I thought like, oh, I don't know, they're like my grandma or my aunt, whoever, and then one day they're gone. You know, and seeing that, and so it's a lot of experience in end of life, I should say. But when I came to work for you guys, it was kind of exposing me to everything that leads up to that.
Right.
Basically, from when you're an adult to when you hit that last phase of life is what you guys help people out with.
Mm-hmm.
Life insurance, when you're starting your life, starting a family, buying a home, all these things, starting new paths, you know, you have life insurance to help you secure yourself in all these ways. Retirement planning, you know, everyone who's worked for all these years, and then they're, you know, you're helping with annuities and all these other things I've learned about.
Yeah. Keep going.
Uh,
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I got exposed. And then even like Medicare, which is a whole world I didn't really know much about. So it's like, it's kind of filled the gap from, you know, everything I knew about, which was mostly the tail end of things. Now I learned about, oh, this is how people structure their lives to get through it all, to then eventually get into something you already know about.
So do you think that just because you're around us and the things we're talking about, personally, you're more financially literate? Do you know more about like things you should and shouldn't do, or how investments and products and insurance works? Like just naturally being around it, you pick up on it?
For sure. I think that you just pick it up as if you spend enough time in it.
Yeah.
All of the products you guys talk about, which do take time, you know, unless you're getting like very, you know, hard trained in a lot of these things. It is hard for a lot of people to grasp.
Yeah.
A lot of these concepts and ideas and things you guys talk about. That's why you help people. And even like the Medicare system and how hard it is to understand. I've learned a lot. I've learned a ton. I would say I'm more financially literate. A lot of things I think have clicked where you know a little bit about them. That's also something that just having the conversations, right? And which is something that a lot of people don't have in the home or with their friends or whoever, you know. No one's really talking that much about financial products or anything really, you know. And it's like, it's kind of normalized that for me a little bit, and made me definitely pay attention to it.
Maybe I should ask the question this way. Do you feel like hanging around us and all these things we're talking about, it made you realize how much you didn't know about like this whole world?
Yeah, I think so. I think that because you're not taught that. You're not taught how money works in this world, how to leverage certain things, and how people, just life insurance, you know, people, you put your money into something you're never going to see is that what people I think are turned away from when it comes to life insurance, but you can utilize it in so many different ways. Had no idea how powerful a lot of these things are, and has forced me, starting my family and all this, has forced me to take advantage of all of these products and like, or some of them I should say, you know, and restructuring what's going on behind the scenes in my own life. To do it, I did have some knowledge, I guess. With my mom was very good about wanting to show me and teach me about things like that. Like I had opened a Roth IRA with her maybe a couple years before working with you guys, but not something I really paid attention to. It's kind of just there. Yeah. Had it. And I've more recently actually, like, Cody's helping me out with that and set me up.
Shout out Cody.
Yeah, shout out Cody. Good job, dude. Appreciate you.
Episode 6.
Episode 6. Go back. Yeah. Listen to Cody and Josh talk about their business ventures. So yeah, I had some foundation in some of these things, but it's definitely sped up the amount of stuff. There's a lot there's even more that I don't know. I mean, when you guys talk about like Money Guide Pro and stuff like that, and like all these, when I watch you guys like talk to clients about certain things and they ask you these questions, people who, have had businesses and their entire lives and all that, and then they hit you with a question where I would have no idea how to answer, and you're like, oh, well, you can do this, this, or this. Or you can look at this. We've done some training videos recently where you talked about, I know that this product is set up with this company. That means this, and that. There's so much to it that the more you know, the more you realize you don't know, kind of.
For sure. I mean, I'm 16 years in a few months in this same lane. Every day I still pick up either new things or I have to keep up on things that are changing that I don't have any control on. I just have to pay attention to what's happening and stuff. So yeah, lots to be learned. So I got to go back though. I'm kind of fascinated with this idea of that for your whole life, you've been witnessing people at that last couple inches, if you were to map out their life on a timeline, it's like over and over and over. So I have had people over the years now that I started a relationship with, and then we don't have one anymore because they've passed away. And it's beginning to ramp up and becoming more and more normal, because you think I've been doing it for going on 17 years now, and the most common time I meet people is when they turn 65. So as I get closer to that 20-year mark, I have a lot of clients that are in their 80s. First time, I was kind of like, oh my God. Like, I didn't really even know how I was supposed to react, because it was sad. I do have a connection. It's not obviously as deep as their family and their children and all these people. I have had some clients that I just, for one reason or another, developed a relationship with, usually the ones that are like extremely into their stuff and ask 10 million questions. You find yourself in lots and lots and lots of meetings with them. Anyways, do you feel like death and the sting of it is diluted to you at all? Are you more, is that the right word?
I think it's a good word for it. Desensitized, maybe?
Yes.
Yes and no. And I learned that when my dad passed away. I had wondered that because of my experience with death or people passing away around me, how was I going to handle that? It's given me, I'd say it's given me a lot of perspective on it, and how you deal with it and how you move through it. It's definitely not diluted it. It's not desensitized it. It's not like, if anything, I feel like it makes me a little bit more connected to it. And I have a respect for it that I don't know how many people have. Obviously, if you're in the healthcare world, there's people come and go all the time, and there's people that deal with it in different ways, and depending on the line of work you're in, but
like you're getting a longer connection. Someone in the emergency room, they're seeing people pass away because they can't fix the problem right in there, like a triage doctor or someone like that. But they don't have any connection usually. The person's like in, and then they're trying to save them or they don't. Now I can't speak. I'm not one, so maybe they do.
Right.
But like you're taking care of these people. You are potentially like wiping their rear end, helping them shower, like as vulnerable as it gets. You're right there with these people. So you create a connection that people don't have, and then they go, and so it's like,
Yeah, it's something that I think the feeling of knowing that what we were doing was creating such peace in these people that by the time it was their time to go, we weren't really that sad about it. Like, we did everything we could to make them comfortable, to make them happy, to make them feel fulfilled in themselves or in their families or whatever. And, you know, by the time it was their time, we'd kind of done our duty, you know, in acting as these Sherpas to help them move into that phase of life.
What about the family members?
That's tough.
And like, did you notice a significant difference with, you know, some people come in and they can accept this is where mom or dad, like, it's, you know, was their time of life, and others who just, they cannot accept it?
Yeah, 100%. There was, we saw both sides, every single side of that coin. People who were very understanding, who knew very much the situation and could accept it, that this is where mom or aunt or whoever, my sister even, that's where they were, and this is what's going to happen. Most of the time, I think it was hard. It was children watching their parents do that, who hadn't, just having a hard time accepting that they were even on this decline, almost in denial that anything was going to happen to them. Yeah, I can't speak for the general public, but I think people do just have a hard time watching someone they love pass on, and they're fighting it. They're making it very hard on themselves. And we have to see firsthand, you know, like, hey, we need to make necessary preparations. We need their help. It might seem heartless to them, but it's like there's things we have to do for them, for you, for us, for everybody involved.
Yeah.
We need to get through this. So you're kind of also navigating. You have to put on the, not mask, but, you know, the hard shell to also help the families get through it.
Right.
You know, and yeah, it's, a lot of the time, handful of times, you know, the families who do have a hard time and have to make a decision. Do we want them to go to the hospital, let them stay in the home, let it all happen naturally? They would tell us, my mom feels at home, loves you guys, and wants to stay here. We want to keep her here. We don't want to move her. We don't even want to take her back to our house. We would rather she stay here where she knows you guys and we can come see her. And this is where we want to do it. You know, I mean, countless ways and countless different scenarios we've been through.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, you're also kind of acting as like therapist for families and stuff like that. And it's just, there's so much emotional baggage, for lack of a better word, that comes with that job that people don't really, I mean, just caregiving in general is tough.
Yeah.
You know, just caring for people is tough.
Right.
I've noticed a lot of crossover. This might tangent too hard, but a lot of crossover in what I did at the house, living in the house, caring for people, with having a daughter.
That's perfect. I was going to say, you're new dad.
Yeah.
Right. How many months now?
She's just over 5 months now.
Dang.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So now I'm experiencing all of the beginnings of life.
But it's a crossover because a lot of the same needs that your daughter has are the same needs these elderly people have, right?
Mm-hmm. Bathing, cleaning, feeding, 24/7 care is not something I'm a stranger to. So moving into fatherhood was pretty natural, I think.
Everything's just a little bit smaller.
Everything's just a little bit. I made that joke with my wife that I was like, if I can change the diaper on 110, 115 pound lady, a 10-pound baby is going to be cake. And it has been so far. I know she's going to get bigger and stronger and all that, but yeah, I mean, I feel like I had the perfect training to know what it's like to not sleep and have to provide care, essentially, to this little human that needs it all the time. And
I didn't even think about that. Your whole life, you have people potentially needing you in the middle of the night and
Oh,
waking up and
yeah.
all these, or maybe not you as a kid, your mom. Or,
Sure, yeah. But I'm used to that. Oh, yeah. I mean, having, especially people going through dementia
Mhm.
and all that, their sleep schedules are completely unhinged.
It's crazy. This is not anywhere I thought we were going to go with the conversation, but it's so fascinating to me.
Yeah,
and
no,
I'm thinking, I would be like I'm out. Ask Libby, like I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can wake up, I guess, sometimes, but I'm like a light switch.
No, when I was working with my mom, say she was out, maybe the caregiver's out, and it was me watching the house overnight. It was almost like a sixth sense. I remember Joe telling me I had heard a lady in a room in the back of the house, wherever it was, and they're just over here like, help, help, anybody? And I just pop up, go down, check on them like 2 a.m, 4 a.m, whenever, it's almost like you have monitors and stuff like that, and like ways to like hear it, but like, yeah, I'm no stranger to waking up in the middle of the night to check on someone to do that. And she's better now. The baby sleeps
Right.
mostly through the night, but those first couple weeks or months or whatever. But
Right.
yeah.
So I had a call it a stand-in teacher when I was going to school for fashion and graphic design. We had this careers class, and these different professionals across the fashion and design world, they would come in and they would speak for one class about what they did, their background, all these things, right? And it was in a class basically to give you a full spectrum exposure to what could you do with this major you're going for. And we had a gentleman that came in, at Steve Jones, and who today has a real estate company, Better Shelter. I haven't talked to him in a long time. Follow him on Instagram. So shout out. What's up, Steve? But he said something in there, and he talked about how don't discredit all of the experiences you're having, and like find a way to appreciate what you're going through and what you're doing and the job that you have, because you truly never know how all these things, they're gonna end up linking up. And I don't remember his whole story, but he just shared with us all these different things he had done, both professionally and hobby, and the longer you live life, the more all these things start to mold and become kind of like who you are, where you can become dominant. And ever since then, I was 20 or 21, 20, I think, when I kind of heard him talking about this. And yeah, ever since then, it's stuck. And it's just interesting how even with yourself, right? Like all these things mold together and then become, and there's still so much more to go.
Yeah, and I think being able to recognize it, not everyone has someone who tells them those things. And just kind of knowing that the type of people who are able to take almost any experience and use that, put it in their back pocket, be like, I might need that later on. I don't know I don't know that I learned that at any point. But I hold on to like experiences very strongly in moments. Kind of going back to like the photo video thing, like I feel very attentive to certain aspects of my life, even down to I'm remembering things when I was a kid. Now that we have one, I'm constantly thinking about, oh, this is how I was as a child, and this is why I do this now. I do that with Joe and how we are with the baby and all these things. We talk about these things. It's a very like normal conversation, and why we act and react and do all these things in the home is from all of our experiences. It's from everything we've learned through our entire life. We do this because of this, and we make future decisions based on what's happening now. It's all very interconnected.
Yeah, there's so many. Every choice that we make, every experience we have, I think there is a point in which you could say, okay, this season is over, and the next season or whatever makes sense, especially if you're feeling like, man, I absolutely hate what I'm doing right now. But being able to sit in it and go, okay, well, what did I learn here? This was for something. I'm now transitioning or looking for that transition and making that stuff happen. And
Yeah.
so your story, you go to college, you're a documentary film major, you get out of college, you're doing some freelance stuff, you're working with bands, you're doing things. You then go and help out your mom for what was intended to be shorter than it actually ended up being. 5 years or so goes. You keep your creative outlet, but your full-time job is caregiving, running this home or multiple homes. But
Right. Yeah, it was just the one. Yeah.
okay, and doing that. Then you transition. You come and you start working for Policy Engineer as an employee. I would say not always full-time, but consistent. Every week we're working on something all the time, and then you do some side projects, things like that, right?
Yeah.
We recently had a conversation that within our organization we're restructuring some things and realized that I don't know how long, temporarily though, like we have to shift some things around. Richard and I talked, and Chris, and essentially moving from a W-2 employee position to us being like one of your customers, essentially, right? So now he's still working with us and doing work, but allowing us to have some freedom to do it on project basis, which sometimes might be more hours than we've been working now, and then slow it down for a period to utilize what we've built and then scale it back up, and a little bit more maybe ebb and flow in our work opposed to this exact same all the time.
Right.
Anyways, this obviously creates a new potential lane or a new way of thinking for you. This show is Beyond the Horizon. This is all about being able to see further out than maybe you were previously looking. So I don't know. This is a conversation we've just had, and I feel like it was a good one. And my brother feels the same way, and I think you feel that way also.
Yeah.
Where's your head at with things? Where do you see things going? Like, what are some of your goals and visions and aspirations? And I'm setting all of this up because up until now, you've done projects and then you've been employed, but I don't know, and tell me about this, but I don't know if you've looked at yourself as, I am Richard Eggers Media Enterprises, and now I'm growing that like business and brand, opposed to I'm a talented creator who has been hired and I'm working, and I'm just curious where your mind is at and how big it's going, or where, if you've thought yet at all.
Yeah. I mean, I think feeling and thinking a lot of things. We talked yesterday about a lot of this, and number one, it feels more than anything like just opportunity. Opportunity to kick down, jump through any door, window that's kind of in front of me. And thinking about where I'm at in life, and thinking a lot of the time you see people who, it does take that moment of like people who worked in corporate jobs for 10 years and they said, I quit my corporate job, followed through with this thing 100%, and now it's what I'm doing, And I kind of feel that a little bit, where I'm like now less tied into something that, you were saying is every day checking in, this and that, show up to this. Now I have the freedom to decide, is it 100% freelance? That's all I'm going to do, and help every single person that I have a connection with now, right? I don't know still.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still reflecting and meditating on it a little bit and deciding, is it fully something I'm going to do free? Because I with that comes the ebb and flow of, it'll get busy and slow down. Get busy and slow down. My mind, I think, wants something predictable and consistent.
Mm-hmm.
That was also one of the big factors with working at my mom's, was the work was always there, but the pay was all over the place, and just feeling consistent and secure. So why, when you guys reached out for an employed position, there was predictability, consistency. It was there. It was everything I was looking for. So now being at that crossroads a little bit again, do I take the risk? Do I jump into a little bit less predictable, but doing something I fully love and care about and I'm passionate about and doing it 100%, you know, the way that I want to do it? Again, I don't know. I'm confident in my abilities to create the media. And it's something that I've learned in working with you guys and doing this for so long, that just because you can take a good photo or make a good video or anything, if you can't sell yourself to someone, you'll never get the business. People underestimate the business side of doing all of this, the creative stuff that, if anything I could share with any creative person out there is that if this is something that you want to make money in to some degree, you have to take the business side seriously.
Right.
It feels like it's 20% creative and 80% how are you marketing, how are you reaching out to people, networking, all these things.
Yeah.
Structuring the business side of it.
Yeah.
And now being at that crossroads, like I said, of can I take everything I've learned and really put it to the test?
Right.
And do it that way and do it the way that I want to do it. I know there's plenty I have to learn and do it and try and fail and do all these things, like not necessarily afraid to fail, but it's obviously like, got a kid now. How much am I willing to fail to get there? You know, so.
Well, a couple things come to mind. One is just an analogy that not everybody will get, but you can probably somehow get where I'm going with this is I connect a lot of things to surfing, which I love. Surfing itself is riding this energy in the water called a wave. And that whole experience lasts seconds. I mean, like a pretty long wave, you're like 15-second, right? You know, if you get a 30-second, like the longest waves in the world, like minute or something, right? It takes you like 10 times, 20 times longer to paddle back out and get to a place you can catch one more wave. That's like start over.
Right.
Sometimes you just drop in.
Right.
So you talked about creative being 20. The thing you love the most, you get the most energized from and feeds your soul, oftentimes requires way more time and energy to have the experience itself. Right. But if done right, the experience will pay you enough and be enjoyable enough that you're like, I got to paddle out and get just one more. Right. I got one more time. Got to do it again. And I personally think that there are way more regrets from wondering what if than trying and accepting something didn't work and then moving on. There's a balance, and how long do you look until all that stuff, right? But I talked about this in a not that far back, like prior episode that was fear being false evidence appearing real. And there is no evidence that says that you won't do better than if you went and got that security out there.
Right.
And then the whole luck and opportunity and getting luckier, right? It's like just making sure you're putting yourself around the people and the opportunities so that the skill set you have, and you have the skill set, like it has been showcased here. And so our transition, we believe, should keep you equally as busy, but with more like ebb and flow, right?
Right.
And I think that if it were me, I would double down and go all in on it, because you have that, and the fact that you actually recognize that you got to sell it, to me, says you won't be a starving artist. The starving artists are the ones that can't accept they got to sell it, or they need someone else who will sell it on some level, right? And they just make their art, and they're so good at it, but there are so many of them that never make it anywhere.
Right. And then there's purists, who make it just to make it. But in how we're talking about it, excuse me, it feels like that's also just where the world is at.
Right.
If you're not advocating and selling yourself, which I feel like also is a selling point, not to toot my own horn, but I love talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
I love making new relationships with people and just being in something like this. You know, if I get a chance to sit down with anybody for more than a few minutes, I feel like we can find a good connection balance to some degree.
Yeah.
And that's what I would want to do for anyone I help with, you know?
Yeah.
It just, that takes time, but now I have a little bit more of the time, so.
Right. Yeah. So with that, what you just said something I wanted to comment on.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about, repeat what you just said.
Advocating, selling myself, connecting with people, having a few minutes to talk with someone.
Come on, brain.
Roll it back real quick. No.
Yeah, right, exactly. Richard. Oh, wait. Well, just in this like season of going and pressing forward and doing that, I think that you will do it. I think you can do it. I would advocate for trying it for sure. And just follow your intuition and get organized and price it right.
Right.
Price your worth. Too many people underprice, I think, in the beginning. Personally, I think it would make sense to do, you don't need to do this because you already have a portfolio. If you're brand new and you want to break into it, I'd be like, do some work for free so you can do it right away, because it's way easier to acquire work for free and then use that and then go sell yourself at a real rate rather than trying to come in and sell yourself at just below market, because that's going to still take a long time.
Right.
And I remember what I was going to say. You talked about the purist.
Yeah.
The purist should not be complaining then. If you're a purist and you make it just to make it, then you're not making it as a means to supplying your life and funding your life, right?
Right.
The starving artist I'm talking about is the person who is wanting their art to be their vehicle for like making money,
mm-hmm.
but then unwilling to accept the fact that it's got to be sold
right
before it will be bought.
Right.
Too many people think that if I make it, it will be purchased. Or, make it and they will come. Build it and they will come.
Right.
That can happen if what you build is fulfilling such a need that it's unignorable. It will end up getting filled.
Right.
But art and creative things, if you just create it and you're only looking for people who happen to stumble upon it,
right,
it may not be the best means of getting it out.
Right. And that's kind of like that mysterious, like, aloof side of art where it's like, I don't know, I don't want to push it too hard to the world or whatever. I don't know. It's just that I feel like that's a pretty naive way of looking at art, especially naive in the sense that if you're trying to make it a business in your life and to support yourself, and it also just goes to show, it's something I never thought about. I've never been in a sales role. The last sales job I had, like retail salesy job I had, was Home Depot when I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was like, we have a promotion here, push this, get them to buy and sell and do, but they're already there to buy something. Mm-hmm. It's not like really you guys. And we could talk about sales a little bit because it's just so fascinating to me. Like you really try to sell products. You really try to sell and like get people committed to things that aren't little decisions.
Right.
Yeah,
and I mean, in some cases, we're trying to have people move their entire life savings to put under our management.
And that's just not something that I've ever seen myself doing. But you learn that in this instance, in what I'm trying to like structure, you have to some degree. It's also how you sell it and who you're selling it to. And
for sure. Well, I think that when it comes to sales, pretty much across the board, it's a lot of people who are not in professional sales and have not like mastered this craft think of sales as you have this product and then you need to go convince people they need to buy it. And really, if you're good at sales, you have this product or solution or service, and you're extremely good at finding people who actually will benefit from it. Not every person is going to benefit from any and every product that's created, right? So you don't want to be the guy opening the jacket with all the watches and just being like, pick one and do this, and just like trying to push stuff and be the wheeler dealer.
Yeah.
But ask a lot of questions, and don't ask yes and no answer questions. You need to ask open-ended questions.
Right. Really inquire about
because
who they are and what they need.
Because truly, once you can confirm what is it that they're missing, that they need, and that they would benefit from having, that is also something that you could provide, and it can fit inside of their budget. Why am I going to have them now walk away and not do what I know will improve their situation and provide for me? Well, what's the point? Once I get to that point where I'm like, no, I have evidence from your mouth that the thing I'm talking about and I can do is good for you. And if it's good for you, it's good for me.
Right.
Now I'm committed. I'm in, right? And now, like, quote unquote, the hunt is truly beginning to figure out, like, well, what do we need to lock this deal in now?
Mm-hmm.
Is it trust? Is it more detail? Is it you being more familiar with me? Do you need to hear from other people that helps you confirm that I'm being truthful with you? But what's necessary? Because unless you lied to me and you completely fabricated the things you said, then this still benefits you. You still can afford it. And why would we not move forward on it, right? So I think in your setting, right, it's like going, okay, here's my target clientele. Like, I know what you like the least and what you like the most, right, from our conversations. But if you were to put it out here right now, who's like your ideal customer?
Ideal?
Yeah, today, if you said, I'm gonna make what I want to make, and we'll deal with that part, but like, I'm gonna enjoy the job. I think I will deliver the best in this scenario. Like, this is my niche where I feel like there's no reason to shop around. Like, I'm going to give you the best you can get.
I think I have two. Pick one.
Or give me both. It doesn't.
Anyone who works in any brand lifestyle that I feel connected to, right? I'm not like outdoor stuff, active things, Patagonia type stuff, anything that has to do with just more not Gucci, not Prada, not like high-end fashion-y type of stuff.
Right. High-end, active, sustainable.
Sure, yeah. Like, because I think that, and why I say that is because if I can apply any or all of the skill sets that I have, documenting a story in someone or some company or something that I grew up camping. I'm very connected to the outdoors and stuff like that. Skating, being outside, just like that lifestyle is something I feel connected to. And just being, moving, being able to travel a little bit. If it means we get to go to different locations and stuff like that. Something in that realm. It's also something that I've not pursued hard enough because it feels a little unattainable. If it's a startup company, they have a couple t-shirts, it's not going to get me where I need to go,
Sure.
Like, how do I do?
Right. So I think I'm not doing those kind of photo shoots, but I've got to find out who is someone closely connected enough where if they're not the decision maker, they could get me to the decision maker. And then I need to start asking them questions like, hey, how far out do you guys begin to plan your next campaigns and photo shoots and videos and that type of stuff? Okay, cool. That far out. I got to be in that range now, right? Like if you do it 6 months ahead of time, awesome. Well, what's the next one that you guys are working on that you haven't yet locked in all of who's going to be doing your camera work, your editing, or these things? Okay, like that's what it is. Great. Is it going to be, where's it going to be location-wise? How many people do you use? Historically, do you work with multiple different agencies, or do you have one that you're in contract with? because I know there's going to be resistance there if they're like, we're in contract, we have a year, they do all of our projects. It's like, okay, great. What am I going to do? Get them to break the contract? Maybe, but at your stage right now, that might not be it. Right. So I'm trying to find that hole. And then now once I find out that they're like open to other professionals and freelancing and things like that, then it's like, okay, now more questions. Right. How quick of a turnaround time? Where does it need to be? Right now, when you go into this type of project, would it be more valuable to you to be able to save money from your original budget or get it turned around faster? What's more important to you? And I'm just asking questions to find out what kind of things are important to them. And then when you allocate budget to this kind of thing, what percentage of your total budget is one project going to end up being? Mm-hmm. Okay, it's this. So like you start to figure out like what's going on in there and how they make these decisions. And there's other questions in your world that I don't know to ask, right? But I'm narrowing it down and then I'm flipping it and saying, all right, perfect. Well, it sounds like this is what you're looking for. This is how quick you need it done and within kind of this type of budget. What I'd like to do is show you some of what I've done in the past and have an opportunity to sit down and present to you why I think that I'm your guy to do this job. And then you got to get objections. Well, we do this or that, whatever. Okay. And then you got to go back with answers. And selling is all about understanding where the end goal is, finding out what objections they have to you being the solution to it, and then overcoming those objections. Or overcoming the objection most of the time is giving them enough information so they see it how you see it.
Right.
I always look at it like, we all have a vantage point to looking at the same problem that's being identified. Mm-hmm. But when you look at it from over here and I look at it from over here, we both see how we're going to fix the problem or if it needs to be fixed differently.
Right.
So I'm trying to get them to see it from my same vantage point and be like, do you see what I'm looking at? This is why I do it this way. This is why. And since now you're standing here and I'm the one that pointed it out this way, like let's work on this project, right?
Giving perspective on things.
Yeah, and I kind of see it like that. Like they see it from this side. Like, can I trust this guy? Can I do this? Is it going to be cost effective? Whatever. And and I think you should definitely reach for things that are bigger than you're used to. Yeah. Knowing that you're always going to be able to fall back, and there's always going to be some bigger budgets and things like that. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a great thing, and as we make the changes necessary within our company, our whole goal is growth, and who knows, things may circle back where we end up saying we're booming and these changes now bring us back to a place where do you want this type of consistency and stuff again? Or you're like, dude, I'm booming. You guys are one of the clients. I got 3 other people who are working underneath me. All of our whole team can help you now, but it just looks a little different. I mean, right. I don't know how that'll pan out, but
yeah, I mean, I think helping you guys has always helped me. I think it will always be that, and that's something that, I don't know, people maybe don't pay attention to, that what helps other people helps them, and that is kind of that's the balance that you should look for, is that I genuinely want to help people. I was raised in that home of helping people.
Right.
You guys are very good at helping people. That's all. I remember telling myself as a kid, first question I remember answering is, what do you want to do with your life? I remember always saying, I don't care. I just want to help people. Mm-hmm. This was before I fell in love with movies and filmmaking, all that stuff. I remember saying that. I just want to help people however I can. And I think that's also kind of carried through in my life in different ways, so. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, I think it was a good conversation.
Me too, man. I'm glad we had it.
Me too. We have had many conversations where at the end we're like, we should have just been mic'd up and had that conversation. That would have been a great podcast.
Excuse me. Yeah, and, for sure. I'm happy. I'll do more if you want to. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, no, I think it was great. Well, before we get out of here, can I pray for you?
For sure.
All right. Lord, I thank you for the opportunities, even though it was completely impromptu. Richard getting to sit down, us to talk through this, I think was tremendous. I believe that it's going to help others so much. I pray that you're with him right now, that those voices that he hears, that they're coming from you, that these opportunities would just open up in ways that it's undeniable that it wasn't him, but it is you, and it is something that calls and it's clear, and that it would only reward his family. And yeah, he's such a great man, and I just pray that you give him opportunities to do the thing he feels called to do, which is serve other people. In Jesus' name, amen.